Ready?
Yes, sir. Ready.
Okay. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Apadamauli Paryantam Gurunam Akritim Smaret Tena Vighnaha Pranashyanti Siddhyanti ja Manorathaha Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham Malam Chidasya Chittena Yopakarottam Pradvaram Muninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankachakrasidharinam Sahasrashirasam Shvetam Pranamami Patanjalim.
Okay.
Rudra continuation.
Sure. Go ahead.
Ashrashi Rudrasya Prashnasya Aghora Rishihi Anushtup Sankarshanamurti Swarupo Yosavadityaha Paramapurushasya Esha Rudro Devata Agni Kratuchara Maya Mishtakayagam Shatarudriye Japabhisheke Viniyogaha Sakalasya Rudradhyayasya Shri Rudro Devata Eka Gayatri Chandaha Kristo Nushtubaha Istrapantayaha Saptanushtubbhau Tve Jagatyau Parameshti Rishihi Shri Samba Sadashivo Devata Shri Bhavani Shankar Prityarthe Jape Viniyogaha Om Agnihotraatme Angushtabhyam Namaha Darshapurnamasaatmane Tarjanibhyam Namaha Chaturmasyatmane Madhyamabhyam Namaha Niruda Pashubandhatmane Anabhyam Namaha Yotishtomatmane Kanishtikabhyam Namaha Sarvakatratmane Karatalakaraprishtabhyam Namaha Agnihotraatmane Hridayaya Namaha Darshapurnamasaatmane Shirase Swaha Chaturmasyatmane Shikayai Vashat Nirudapashubandhatmane Kavachayahum Yotishthomatmane Netratrayaya Vaushad Sarvakritatmane Astraya Phat Bhurbhuvasvaro Digbandhaha Atadhyanam Apatalanavastalanta Bhuvana Brahmanda Mavispurat Jyotispatikalinga Mauli Vilasat Purnenduvantamritaihi Astokapratamekamisha Manisham Rudranuvakan Japan Dhyayeti Tirasiddhaye Dhruvapadam Viprobhishinche Chivam Brahmanda Vyaptadeha Vasita Himarucha Bhasamana Bhuchangaihi Kanthe Kala Kaparda Karita Shashikalas Chanda Kodanda Hastaha Raksha Rudraksha Bhushaha Pranata Bayahara Shambhava Murti Vedaha Rudrashri Rudra Sukta Pragadita Vibhava Na Prayachantu Saukhyam Shuddha Spatika Sankasham Shuddha Vidya Pradayakam Shuddham Purnam Chidhanam Sadashivamaham Bhaje Om Ganana Antva Ganapatigum Havamahe Kamim Kavinamupamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanan Padahana Shrunannasi Siddhasadhanam Mahaganapataye Namaha Om Shantame Mayashchame Priyanchame Nukamaschame Kamaschame Saumansachame Bhadranchame Shreyashchame Vasyashchame Yashashchame Bhagaschame Dravinanchame Yantachame Dhartachame Kshemaschame Dhutischame Vishwanchame Mahaschame Samvichchame Jnatranchame Sushchame Prasushchame Siranchame Layaschame Datanchame Amritanchame Yakshmanchame Namayachchame Jeevatushchame Dirghayutvanchame Namitranchame Abhayanchame Suganchame Shayananchame Sushachame Sudinanchame Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tatsat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu.
Has she come? There she is.
Yeah.
Good morning, Lata.
Good morning. I'm fine.
Okay, so let's continue from where we left. Ranjini is sick, so she might not be able to speak. So she is on mute.
Okay.
On the computer as well as
Throat.
both are muted. Okay, so let's continue from where we left. So yesterday we were discussing on Abhinivesha. So unless we give up the vesha, what we have put. So the clinging to life is going to continue. So then we need to watch why we are not able to give up. So the abhinivesha, dvesha, raga, and asmita, these are the four things which, without removing that, we cannot get into avidya, the removal of avidya. So removal of avidya will get us vidya. So the vidya here is that you need to be always with the breath. The avidya is that minusing the breath. So very simple. So if we look at our 24 hours, we should be able to observe the breath all the 24 hours, be in the breath all the 24 hours, and then observe that you are not the breath. So you will be able to see it like something moving up and down, but you are still. Presently, I am also moving up and down along with the mind and the five senses. So if I were to get rid of that, I need to practice whatever we call as Kriya Yoga, and then look at the breath and ensure that it stops. There is a stoppage. So once that stoppage happens, everything reveals by itself. So we don't have to do anything further. The only effort we need to do is to stop what we are doing. Okay, whatever we are doing is the disturbance. Whatever we stop doing is no disturbance. So now the question comes, why don't we then do it? So Patanjali then in the first chapter of the 30th shloka, he says that there are 9 reasons for which we don't do, or a sadhaka does not do what he intends to do. So it goes like this: Vyadhisthana samshaya pramada alasya virati bhranti darshanalab analabdha bhumikatva anavastitatvani chitta vikshepaste nantarayah. So this is a long one. So if you were to shorten that up, one is Vyadhi. Okay, there are 2 diseases which can come. One is a mental disease and one is a physical disease. The physical disease we all know. The mental disease is attachment. So I am attached to something, and that viraha, that is, if that goes away, I am in the disease. So that's basically what I have. Then sthana, it's a dullness of the mind and a dullness of the body. And the third one, samshaya. Now the basic problem here is that I try referring to the scriptures and it doesn't talk anything about this breath meditation. So I get a doubt whether this is the right way or this is not the right way, or is it added with something, it is somebody's, it is not ours, and I am from so and so tradition, in my tradition this is not there, what should I do? So that samshaya is going to come. Pramada is carelessness. So I feel that what's wrong in enjoying the senses? What have the senses done to us? They are there for enjoyment, and why don't I do that? So there is no need. Or I have a wife or a son or a daughter or a husband or whatever it is, and they are young or they are yet to settle down and all that. So why don't I basically wait and then get into it? What is the urgency? In the meanwhile, I can be learning scriptures, I can be doing many things which helps me for the future. So pramada, alasya, laziness, that is, I have so much of activities to be done in a daily basis that this is of no importance to me. So that can wait. So I'm lazy of doing it. Why today? We'll start on a good day. So let's start tomorrow or whichever day that is. Then avirati. Virata means one who can give up the senses at will. Avirati means one who is holding on to the senses and enjoys that. So basically, a person want to indulge. So if I have an attitude of indulging, so that's a biggest of the obstacle I can get. And then if I am trying to get into spiritual, or I call that as religious spiritual or only spiritual or being religious or whatever I can say. Let's say I go to a temple and I do a lot of puja and this and that, and or come back and go to a class, study, or get into learning. Then a major problem starts. That is Bhranti Darshana. This is a very problematic, because whatever the teacher teaches me in that, or whatever I have read, they both intervene in such a way that it creates hallucination and it starts appearing. So let's say I go to Rama temple and I come back, and then I get a hallucination that I'm seeing Rama in front of me. So it becomes Bhranti Darshana. So basically I hallucinate of whatever I am seeing or whatever I am hearing. These are the two of senses which act really funny. And I believe what I am doing is true. Alabdha bhumik katva, that is, bhumi is the ground or the earth, not being grounded, properly grounded. So when I'm watching the breath I'm not able to watch, nor I'm able to concentrate on it, and instead it starts fluttering wherever it should not flutter. So I get into an excitement mode, and that is the alabdha bhumikatva anavastitatva. So I have gained certain ground and I now start slipping away from the ground. So these ani, so the ani is that these 9 things, that is vyadi, sthana, samshaya, pramada, alasya, avirati, bhranti, darshana. These are the 9 which keep abhinivesha active. I cannot remove it. So since I love the vesha, what I can now do is I can do the following with that vesha. I can create a religion, I can create a tradition, I can then apply vibhuti, or I can apply nama, I can apply this, I can apply that, all to the body, all to the vesha. But nobody can put anything to the original one. Everything is to this vesha. So that vesha bhushana becomes the major thing for me. So if I go anywhere, people recognize me and they talk to me, they feel I'm very well advanced and I feel very happy about it, or they feel that I'm very good and I feel very happy about it. And if somebody says that I'm not advanced, I feel very sad about it or bad about it. And somebody were to abuse me, I feel very angry about it. So basically what I'm going to do is that at that time no breath meditation is possible. So I will have abhinivesha, dvesha, raga, asmita, avidya. All the 5 are going to function properly. So that means I am fueling the energies to have as much avidya as possible rather than getting into vidya. So this is what the whole situation. So the 30th shloka talks about the problem. So this is a chain. So first you have to cut the chain. So the only chain what Shankaracharya found out can be broken in this 9 chain activity is mumukshatva. So if we have that feeling of urgency, then pramada will go away. If one of the chain is broken, either pramada or alasya or something of that is broken, then the person can go deeper and then get rid of the personality, that is abhinivesha. So this whole exercise is to remove the abhinivesha which is there, and why we should do that. What's the reason? The reason here is that avidya, the anatma, is treated as atma. So I feel I have an atma inside me, whereas no atma exists. I feel there is sukha inside me, while no sukha exists. I feel there is an eternal thing inside me, whereas there is no eternal thing which is existing, which is anitya. So anitya dukkhatmasu. And is this ashuchi? Because it's not there. Whereas I have a very strong feeling there is something wrong, then it is there. So if I am meditating, who is then meditator, right? Then there is somebody should be there. So if there is anatma, then there should be, then why we should do all of this? So I get that doubt. So basically what Patanjali says is that unless you remove the abhinivesha, you will not be able to understand avidya. And to remove the avidya, you cannot do it with this 9 strand of chains. So if you cut one of the chain only, then you can understand. Otherwise you will always feel there is somebody inside, and that inside person is in bondage, and you have to release that person from the bondage, and all that funny things are going to happen. So now I am doing a mantra patana. To whom it is? It is to the mind. It is not to the consciousness. Consciousness is na karta na bhokta. So if we are believing in that, then there is nothing like I am doing it for that Atma Sakshi or this or that or whatever is there. Till we understand, it is required. But once you understand, it's not required. So the basic aim of yoga is to have the chitta vritti, and also to get into the tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. So the swarupa comes by itself. I don't have to do anything to show that. So taking on to this 30th, he makes an interesting observation, which is even more better than the 30th shloka, is the 31st. Dukkha daurmanasya angam ejayatva swasa prashwasa vikshepa saha bhuvaha. So one is dukkha, body pain; daurmanasya, mental pain; angam ejayatva. Ejeya is to tremble. Anga is the body parts. So I want to sit in meditation. Majority of the time I now decide whether sitting here is good, or sitting that place is good, or traveling to that place is good, or being here is good. And then I will shall I turn to the south, or to the north, or to the east, or to the west, or should I do it in a temple, or should I go to a particular place, or should I fly to the Himalayas, or I should do this, I should do that? All of this is a dukkha, because it's all about torturing the body. And the second torture, should I do it without eating breakfast? Should I do it without eating lunch? Should I do it without eating dinner? Should I do it on a Tuesday, or should I do it on Ekadashi? Should I do it on this day? Today is Ramanavami, so I think I should be eating something, otherwise the festival is there. No, I'll do it after this, I'll do after that. And then today is Amavasya, we shouldn't be doing it. So all of these funny rides. So body keeps on trembling. Oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that, I shouldn't be doing this. So another thing comes. Can I meditate for half an hour? Is it sufficient? Or should I meditate for only 10 minutes? Or can I do some mantras in between? Or should I say Om? Basically, that is what is required. So all of this is even more worse obstacle than the 30th. So that means you will never meditate. Basic aim of the mind is not to be in silence. It wants an activity. And the basic aim of consciousness is to bless what the mind wants. It is not bothered about what it is doing. So now my problem here is that the dukkha is coming to the body. So then I will say I have to join yoga, because then first the body has to be in a proper shape. So I think I will ask Ranjini to teach me some asanas, because then it becomes easy. So without asana, how can I really do it? Whereas Patanjali says sukhasana. Whichever asana gives you sukha, do that. Don't bother about whether you should do this or do that, or stretch it or not stretch it. Nothing like that. But I have a doubt. Now, which yoga is better? Hatha yoga is better or Patanjali yoga is better? Now, then if that is the case, then why do people spend so much time in that Hatha yoga? Then there is something wrong. I think Patanjali Yoga Sutra is not a right thing. It looks more like a Buddhist thing. It is not related to our category, because when I was young, I was seeing everybody doing Surya Namaskara and all that, different poses and different pranayamas, and there is bandha, there is this and that. But I find this is something different. So who knows if Patanjali is the right person or not, and Hatha yoga is better, and it doesn't say anything about mantra, but in all the Upanishad it talks about mantra and japa and all that. So which one is correct? So we again go back to the 30th one. So basic aim is to have a vesha. So all that I want in life is to wear a vesha and keep it to be true. And to make it true, I always go back to Bhranti Darshana. And I will say that, oh, this is not the one. So, Samshaya. If Samshaya is not come, then I start something else. And that something else is feeling Daur Manasya, mental grief or mental pain. I don't think so. This is what it is. Maybe I should change something. Maybe I should do this. So they keep on hunting. This is called as seeking. So as long as we are seeker and not stopping from seeking, nothing can be achieved, because we have to stabilize in one thing. If that one thing is not there and we keep on shopping, it's not going to be making any sense whatsoever. So what Patanjali says is that how do you come to know about this dukkha and daur manasya is through your in-breath, out-breath. The balance is lost. So if the breath is going via the Shushumna Nadi, then you will have breath coming in both the nostrils. If not, either one of them will be strong, which shows that it is in imbalance. When the breath is in imbalance, no matter what I do, it's not going to work out. So it again and again creates abhinivesha, for which there is dvesha, then there is raga, there is asmita, avidya. And then I will strengthen the other 9 ones, because then I love it. Vyadi sthyana samshaya pramadalasya avirati bhranti darshana alabdha bhumikatva anavastitatva. So these 9 I am going to be in. So Patanjali says that there is no respite to such a person, because he doesn't want to cut it. He doesn't want to cut even one of that strand, even though he knows it's a chain. He or she doesn't want to cut it. So as long as I have no ability or no interest to cut it, no matter what I read, it is of an intellectual knowledge or just a knowledge seeking than anything else in life. So he says if we have this 32 and 30 and 31, then there is little practice a person can do. So he says you have to intensify the practice. So tat pratisedha artham ekatattva abhyasaha. So he says bring only one thing. That's the abhyasa. No, I want to bring many things. Then that's not the abhyasa. So now we have to choose what is that one thing. What is the ruchi you have, the taste? Like in the case of Ranjini, she has Rama. That's one ruchi, over, case closed. She should not be bringing anybody else, because that is a ruchi. That is what sets her. So in breath Ra, out breath Ma, over. Nothing more to be done. Rama will take care of it. There's no need for her to learn Upanishad or Vedas or some Sankhya or Nyaya, Vaisheshika. Even though she has done her MSc, she doesn't have to bother about all of this. Only she can keep all of that aside, including Patanjali Yoga Sutra. She can keep it aside. Just for information, she can have it. That okay, where all she can correct it when she is doing Rama, but she can drop it off. There's no need. So what is required for her for throughout her life is Rama. And that's a practice. So what should I do? Just watch Ra and Ma. That's all. Over. Very simple. Now, would that lead to knowledge? Would that lead to jnana? Would that lead to whatever? Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt. So first comes the Sabija Samadhi, then it comes to Nirbija Samadhi. It does it by itself. There's no need for Ranjini to do anything more than Rama. If for somebody home is working, sufficient. They don't have to go and hunt for Soham or Hamso or whatever it is. If somebody is working with Hamsa and it's working, there's no other thing that needs to be done. Or for someone, Soham is working, that is also good. And if for someone, they don't require any one of these two, just the breath is working, no need. What is the objective? Objective is to stop the breath. With Rama also you can stop the breath. With Soham also you can stop the breath. With Hamso also you can stop the breath. With Om also you can stop the breath. And with 7 chakra meditation also you can stop the breath. But that is the path what you need to choose. Whatever is the ruchi, the taste, you have to follow it. But then what is wrong in knowing everything? Yeah, can know. But that will lead into confusion, because then you get into pramada, carelessness. I am so careless that I believe that I am going to lead life eternally. What is the urgency? So again I fall down. Alabdha bhumi katva, anavasti tattva. I have established certain ground. I have reached a certain place. Now my mind is so disturbed that I go back in search of something. If I had followed whatever I found, not getting distracted, not going here and there, I could have done many more things easily than what I am doing. So it is the choice one makes between what he or she wants to do and what he and she doesn't want to do. It's a taste what brings in that person. If you have many tastes, there are many philosophies, and then there are people who think that now I have completely understood the Hindu philosophy, do a PhD in Buddhist philosophy or a Jain philosophy or that philosophy, let me do this, do that. Again the mind has started to run. If that person would have stayed on Rama, just like Valmiki, when Narada said to him, you say Mara, 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 that's all, don't say Rama. You don't know who is Rama, fine, just say Mara. You sit there and say Mara, and an ant hill grew, and hence it is called Valmiki, because Valma is the ant hill. One who has opened up his eyes with ant hill is Valmiki. So basically, if I have such a dedication, then it works. If I am shopping, it's not going to work. So the 33rd verse, if I were to read, is the one we have to practice, which we have already done, that Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha. So when you remove the mask, Abhinivesha, then you will see the reality, and then you start loving those people who have understood how to remove the mask. So you have friendship with them, then you feel compassionate to those people who keep on wearing mask, and no matter how much you tell them, they are not going to remove the mask. So they love mask, so you have to be compassionate. And the third one is one who have completely erased it off, have seen, cut off all the clashes, and that person is shining. So I can have a very joy, which is mudita. And with those people who are puppies, and due to their papa phala, their something, then I can get into the upeksha, equanimity. So now we'll go into the second chapter. Any questions? Anyways, Ranjini cannot speak. I don't know whether she can speak.
Yeah, Ranjini cannot speak yet, correct.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
this
the
is,
objective is to stop the breath, whatever you do.
pardon?
The objective is to stop the breath, whatever you do.
Yes, so the objective here is to know the breath. First thing, the four things we need to do with relation to breath. Number one, know that breath is limited. It's not unlimited. It's limited. Number two, as soon as the senses starts working, the breath is increased, either through sound or through sight or through taste or whatever. The second one. And the third one, the more you breathe, the more you die. So don't breathe, so you'll not die. Fourth one, stop the breath. Then you are amara, ajara, amara. No aging, no death.
So then the breath stops, all the decay also stops. That time.
For that moment, the decay is not there. For that moment, there is no senses. For that moment, there is complete peace.
And complete rest for the body.
Yes. After 10 minutes or 15 minutes of stopping the breath, heartbeat starts to come to 32 and it stops. Perfect stoppage of heart. And when the heart is stopped, it rejuvenates. And once it rejuvenates, your whole body gets rejuvenated. So this is Kaya Kalapa in action.
Yeah, when you go to the other marga, Jnana marga, you don't do any of this breath observation and all, do you?
Yes. So now there is two parts to the story. One part of the story is that only through Jnana you reach, which is Vedanta. Okay. Whereas, including Sankhya also, it talks about Purusha Prakriti, understanding that, and through Nyaya, Vaisheshika, all of that you can go into the Jnana. Vedanta is the ultimate of Jnana. Now there are three fault lines there. Number one, I need to know the koshas perfectly. Otherwise, only intellect will shine, nothing else. Okay, this is the first fault line. Second fault line is that the way to realization is through Shama, Dhamma, Uparati and all that. And that I don't establish, there's nothing anybody can do. Because you see, if Shama, Dhamma has to be done, the breath has to be taken care, right?
Yeah, that's right. So if you want to investigate, we
Yes.
need to have a calm mind.
Yes. So,
And for calming the mind, you need to control the breath.
not only that, you have to cut all the activities of the mind. And then only it is possible. So the second fault line. Third fault line is that it keeps on making me read endlessly and listen to lectures endlessly, not realizing that in all of that activity the breath is gone. Third fault line. fourth fault line in Vedanta, you get into Bhranti, hallucination. Okay, so going directly into Jnana Marga is killing oneself. Going into Bhakti Marga is like pleading that please help me. So one is one extreme, another one another extreme. So what Patanjali has done is he has mixed both Bhakti and Jnana together. So there is a Bhakti to not to a deity or anything. He talks about Pranava. So Sa Ishvara Sankhya, if you were to talk about, like in the Sankhya of Kapila, there is no Ishvara. It's direct, Purusha. Whereas in the Patanjali, he talks about Sa Ishvara Sankhya. That means Sankhya as in having an Ishvara and Ishvara defined as Om. So he has brought in a portion of Bhakti and more of knowledge, Jnana, to combine with the breath to arrive at the destination. So in the Hindu philosophy, Patanjali Yoga Sutra is called as the Raja Yoga. Vedanta is for those people who have ability to not only understand and comprehend, but able to take care of the senses. Without sense cutting, it's not possible. And all of our experiences are through senses. So it only leads to hallucination, Bhranti. And it leads to ego, Ahankara, that I know it. So if somebody is directly trying to go on Vedanta, it's not going to work. If somebody is only trying Bhakti, he gets locked in that. He cannot, including Ramkrishna Paramahamsa, he had that problem. Unless Totapuri helped him. Otherwise, he was in his own mode. So, Bhakti Marga has its own flaw. Vedanta has its own flaw. Patanjali at least has both the things. But since it is called yoga, people confuse that yoga with Hatha Yoga. And they start doing many different kind of holding the breath and all that. That is not at all part of Patanjali. Patanjali never says that you should hold the breath, you should do this, you should do the kumbhaka. All that is not there. Antar kumbhaka, bahya kumbhaka, and bandhas, all that is not there. Now I am totally confused. And he says confusion is natural. So he will not proceed. So now Lata, you want to get into the Raja Yoga. That's it. And if you've decided, you have to throw out everything else. It doesn't matter whether you have learned it or you have spent time on it or whatever it is. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and now time being I have thrown out everything. Only that is there.
Yes. So now that Yogananda's book, what you're getting, or if you want to get into initiation later, that's the only source. There is no other thing. So if you want to follow Babaji, and that's all what it would be. It won't be anything else other than that. You can add something from Patanjali Yoga Sutra because that is very nearer to what Babaji has taught. But then that is all what your journey would be. So there is no need to understanding Yoga Vasista, or there's no need to understanding Viveka Chudamani or this money or that money or Shankaracharya. Nothing is required. All that is required is only this, nothing else. So the moment we make that decision that this is what is mine, we should stop there. We shouldn't go investigating into other things till we cross. Once we cross, then you can come back and read, because now that you have passed, you have your PhD, then it doesn't matter. No, read the second standard book and okay, it was so nice. Okay, I didn't know this. And it will look like child play. Before that, we need to complete the journey. Rather than going back, coming forth, going back, coming forth is not going to help.
Yeah, I'm going in circles.
I know that you're going in circle, and for that reason only I'm telling you that Remove all the clutter. Yoga Vasishta is a clutter. Patanjali, this guy, Shankaracharya is a clutter. You remove all the clutter. There's no need. Just focus on what you have taken. You have taken the Raja Yoga, just follow that. Don't have to see anywhere. And practice what they have written there. If they are saying that you do Hamsa, you do Hamsa. Don't question. If it is Om technique, which is going to come later, and then we are going to only do that. There's nothing else we need to do. And we need to don't need to take that book and then take this book and verify whether it is okay or not okay. Then that means neither I have faith in here nor I have faith in there. So it doesn't really work out. So for you and me, since I have also taken the same course as what you have taken, so we should follow that track exactly to the dot and reach a particular state, because the bhumi, what we have reached, should not be lost. So if you take the Sapta Bhumika, and in the Yoga Vasishta, that is the beautiful one, is that how do you prepare your ground? So it is not about Turiya, it is about Subhecha. If that Subhecha itself is not there, and where is the question of going into spirituality? In fact, Patanjali makes a very humorous comment about spiritual, which we are going to come up with. What is Adhyatma, he explains. So we need to have Subhecha. That itself is a difficult thing to achieve. So, because I am so much shopping that I don't even come to Subhecha, because I am not finding fault at anything else. I want to enjoy those and also be part of this. So unless that happens, there is no inquiry. What will I inquire? And what we are talking is almost to the corner, which is the Turiya state. So Patanjali Yoga Sutra teaches how to get into Turiya. Viveka Chudamani or Shankaracharya teaches how to enter Turiya. And many other, including Kapila Muni on Sankhya teaches. But we need to be clear which route out of 6 philosophies, Shat Darshana. We can only have one Darshana. We can't have Shat Darshanas. We have tools. Take the tool, make it happen. Okay. Now we come to the next second chapter. I am going to read out the 17th shloka, which is the one which we have to cover today.
17th.
Yes.
From 12th, you jump to 17th. Huh?
From 11th, I am jumping into 17th.
Correct.
I am smart that way.
Self-praise.
Yeah, I have to do, no. Okay, let me go to 17th. Okay. Drashta drishyoho samyogaha heya hetuhu. The whole problem is this: the seer and the seen are both the same. So when I see this body, don't I feel it's my body? So seer equals seen. And that is the pain.
So that is what will create that bond.
Yes, Prakriti Purusha. Like my wife was one day asking me, a very interesting conversation we had. So she was saying that nature is so beautiful. Only human is born in a human womb, and animal is born in animal womb, and this is born in that womb. Then the birds and the trees and a lot of flowering plants and this and that. Isn't it that nature is the most fascinating thing? I told her one thing. You are more fascinating than the nature. Only thing you don't know. Then she said, no, 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 it's not like that. What I'm asking you is, shouldn't we then appreciate nature? I said to her, yes, you appreciate nature, but you will be reborn in that nature. As long as you are appreciating and depreciating nature, you are going to be reborn there. You have to maintain equilibrium, samatva. And then there is Purusha, away from Prakriti. So I was asking her this question. She was seeing a flower. I was asking her, are you seeing the flower or the flower is seeing you? Which is true. And she got perplexed.
Yeah, Ranjini want to say that.
Nee maaye olago ninnolu maaye. Yes, exactly.
I can see it from her face.
Yeah. So now I asked this question to her. So I then explained to her, how did the flower come? It is due to bija. Bija is Prakriti, not Purusha. The life what is thrown in that bija is transformed into flower. But you are attracted by flower. But what about that which is making it grow? You are not happy about it.
The essence behind it.
So I told her that bija has the color. So it is showing. Whereas you, as consciousness, is lighting up that bija. So why don't you appreciate then? Because that is unseen. This is seen. So the problem with all of us is we are going behind what is seen. The seen is always Prakriti. So there is no mukti. Why? Because the Purusha always loves to be with Prakriti. So he says, Drashta Drishyoho Samyogo Heya Hetuhu. So now you have the cause and you have the effect. Another thing, I go to gym or I go to jog, I go to walk. Am I not getting lean? Is that a question? Am I growing lean?
I am not growing, but your body is growing.
But nobody talks like that, right?
No, nobody talks.
I should be answering like this. I have not become old, I have not become young, I have not become anything. It's the body which has become old or young or aged or whatever that is, diseased or whatever.
Yeah, so I think our identity has to be with that. Yes. Unconsciously even. Yes. All the time. And only when you're interacting, you should come to this body and talk. But we are the other way around, right? So we are always with this body and mind. And only when we are talking about spiritual and not intellectually, we think, okay, we are not this and we are that.
Yes.
But it has to come as second nature or the first nature for us.
Correct. And that's the reason I had asked you this question. Is that what is there in a language? The language gives you only 5 senses.
Yeah.
So you have to drop the language.
You have to drop that language in the mind.
Yeah. When you are interacting, you can't say no language, sir. I have been told that no language to be used. Use the language. Language we are using just to communicate something which is of 5 senses. So when we say you see, you hear, you taste, you touch, you smell, only that is what is the language is all about.
Yeah. So I think if you are able to cut off the language, the mental chattering will stop. There is always a kind of peace inside the mind. Because
yes.
That mental chattering is what kinds of troubles always.
Yes. So we have to let go of all the languages, including Sanskrit, because that is an attachment. So Sanskrit is also for communication, not for anything else. Even though it is called Devanagari, that doesn't mean that it came from Deva, and hence I have to hold on to it. Anything that is clinging to the mind is going to create problem, because that is the Vesha. So I need to first drop the language in the mind and cut it off. No grammar, no explanation, no this, no that. That gives peace. To talk to someone, they put a sound. That sound has some meaning. That meaning you explain. Over. Some sight you are seeing, that has some shape and color. It is called as so and so. Okay, that is called as so and so. So be it. Talk.
Yeah, I think this Nisarga Datta's book, I Am That. That I stuck to me that. He says your body and your identity, you should see it as somebody standing in the market. You don't know that person. You should treat this as like that.
Yes.
So whatever happens to this, you don't care. So it is like separated out.
Yeah, you should watch it as a third party. And another thing we need to do, if we want to grow further higher, drop the first person, second person, third person. I, you, and that. All the three. Because it's in the language. You drop that. So the first person gone, second person gone, third person gone. Utter peace. When somebody comes, if you are talking, you become the first person. The person who is hearing becomes the second person. If he talks, he becomes the first person. You are the second person. Just watch the drama. He will say something and he will leave. Okay, bye-bye, done. Then drop off that person.
Yeah, there's one more thing Sarva Priyanda has told. So Ramana Maharshi, somebody has written something wrong about him. Some criticizing him nicely and published somewhere. So one person, one of his disciples take it and then give it to Ramana Maharshi. He will read it, he'll correct all the grammars and give. And he said, are you feeling very bad? Then he said, he is speaking about some fellow called Ramana. Why should I be bothered?
Yeah, so that is how it should, because there is no person called Ramana. That is a Vesha. So he has removed the Vesha. So
yeah, somebody, why should I get?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and same way, one more example, Sarva Priyanda has told. So he, in one ashram, one Swami, head of the Swami, and he in the Ramakrishna Math only. So one of the disciples has gone to some other ashram, and that person has talked so many bad things about this head Swami. So he is wanting to come back and tell. Then he will come and say, you know what all that person is telling. Then he said, yes, all what he told is right. He doesn't want to hear.
Okay.
And then one more example, he said, they are walking back, and then the Swami hears that somebody is talking against him. Then he turns, let us go this way. But what we will do? We want to hear what this person is talking against us. We want to hear, he just went other side. So these are, and even though he gives this example, no, it is deep touching.
Yeah, it's touching very quickly and
very.
Okay, now I need to jump into the meeting.
Okay, fine.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.